Everyone has to start somewhere. At age 18, company president Ron Powell started selling final expense policies all across the Southeast. After 5 years, he was a millionaire, and at age 30, he bought his own insurance company. Ron Powell is a planner with even bigger dreams. And since starting, we have grown from being licensed in 6 states to 40 states plus DC. Our success stems from our greatest asset, our people. We have created a place where you can build networks and relationships with people committed to your personal and professional development. As a company, we're not interested in building just our success story, but our agent's success story. So join the team where you can thrive and change your life. Dream big.
It's not the products that we sell. It really boils down to the people that are a part of the company. And Mitch really spearheads that. You talk about Ron, our president, Ron and Brenda here in San Diego. You know, you can choose to do a lot of things in life, but I think what's important is surrounding yourself with like-minded people and positive people. And, you know, in my 10 years with Senior Life, a little bit of background on me, I learned real early on that as Amir kind of stole a little bit of my thunder as he was talking about the difference in can and can't. You know, and I learned early on that there's a big difference between somebody saying you can't versus you saying I can't. Huge difference. You know, everybody's real quick to tell you why you can't do something. And I just use that for fuel to my fire and just kind of put that in my back pocket. And that's what I kind of use as that extra motivation when you get tired, or that extra drive that you need on those days where you don't really feel like doing it. And I think that carries over into life. And so I had a very short stint with the Atlanta Falcons. For those of you that aren't familiar, NFL actually stands for not for long. And so when I got cut from Atlanta, I started trying to weigh out my options in terms of what I wanted to do with my career and where I really wanted to hang my hat. And the one thing that I loved about Senior Life was the fact that we were a small company in the big world of insurance. We're a young, fast-growing company. And I think when you're in insurance and you're looking at what you want to do and where you want to hang your hat, you can work for any one of the 2,500 insurance companies in America. You could call them all today and say, I'm interested in getting a contract, and they're going to say, great, here's the contracting paperwork, fill it out. When you write business, we'll pay you. If not, who cares? Never talk to you again. You know, what I love about Senior Life is the growth opportunity. We've really only been licensed in California now for about 4 years, I think. And so it's basically a fresh state for us. When I started back in 2009, we were only licensed in 17 states. And as Mitch mentioned, now we're in 40 or 41 in DC. So, you know, wherever you go, you can sell final expense for whoever you guys want to. But I think what you'll see is different about Senior Life and where we really stand out is our history, our passion, our people, you know, and really just having the total package. And that's what we're going to really go over the next 20, 25 minutes. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And I know Ron will be sure to get everything answered for you guys. So, you know, the way that I always like to start things off is if I were to sit here and tell you guys, all right, everybody in here is interviewing for a position. And if you guys accept the position, I'm going to guarantee you a $100,000 a year salary. Guaranteed. All right? And the job qualifications consist of 3 things. I need you to have a positive attitude. I need you to follow a system to a T. And I need you to give me 4 good days of work, 4 good days of effort. And if you do those 3 things, I'll pay you $100,000 every single year. How many people would actually take me up on that? Guys, here's the reality. If you truly do your part, if you kept that positive attitude, and you follow that system, and you heard Mitch talk about it, we have a system. We have a process. If you do your part, positive attitude, follow the system, 4 good days a week, and you took me up on that deal, I actually would be taking advantage of you. Because our opportunity today is so much bigger than just $100,000 a year. Amen. And it all starts with what you believe in. And do you think that it's possible? Do you believe? Is your mindset right? And we're going to walk through some examples of just how simple it is to get to these levels. Now, it's simple to put it up on paper and to make it look nice, and it's going to be real simple to be excited, hopefully by the end of the day today, of senior life and what we have. And the real question is going to come in when adversity hits you. Are you going to follow the system on the days you don't feel like it? I'm a big believer that you have to match your dreams have to be matched by your dedication and discipline. And what I view in terms of discipline is something as simple as, here's something that I want to do that I know I don't need to do. Can I keep myself from doing it? Or here's something that I know I need to do that I really don't want to do. Can you make yourself do it? That to me is discipline at its very bare bones level. And you have to match it. You can't sit back and say, well, I want to lose 20 pounds, but I want to continue to eat ice cream every single night. You have to make some sacrifice. You have to change a little bit. We're going to talk about that. But if you guys were to take me up on that, you would actually be getting a raw deal. Because I've got people, and I say Senior Life, we have people that have been with us for less than 5 years that would have been in your same position as they were 5 years ago, and they're making between $60,000 and $100,000 a month right now. And as short as 4 to 5 years. But it consists of following that system, applying yourself, dreaming bigger. And what I found, and again, my experience is that there's so many people that stop dreaming. They stop believing in themselves. They say, well, you know what? This is just it. This is the hand that I was dealt, and I'm just going to, deal with it. And I have a problem with that. You control the cards that you play. You control whether you get out of bed today or not. You control whether you follow the system or not. You control all of those things. Every day you have decisions to make. Every hour you have decisions to make. And if we can focus on the things that matter, you'll be able to take this to a whole new level. And so if I was sitting in your shoes today, I'd want to know really about 3 basic things. And that's really who we are, what we do, and how we do it. And I think Mitch shared a lot with you about who we are. We are people that come from the insurance background. Our owners, Ron and Dale, started off as agents. No college education, no money, no chance. Everybody told them they were stupid for getting into insurance. And they go from 2 people sorting through leads in the living room floor of their trailer, driving 6 hours one way to South Carolina just to go to work, staying in a hotel 3 and 4 nights a week, to fast forward to 5 years later making over $1 million a year. To 12 years into it, buying their own insurance company. And I think that's a big advantage in terms of who we actually are, is we are agents. And the people at the top of our company, which are Ron, Dale, Mitch, myself, and several other key home office people, are all licensed insurance agents and all have sold in the field, over the phone, whatever the case may be. And so the people that are really involved, they know what it's like to be in your shoes. And I think that carries some weight. Maybe it doesn't to others, but to me, when you look at a lot of insurance companies, most people that are running the companies are actuaries or lawyers, or they've got some fancy business degree from some Harvard medical school, or whatever the case may be. And they're making decisions that affect you on the front lines, and they've never sold a policy before in their life. But hey, it's a great opportunity. Where we look at everything from trying to be the best total package. And what we found is that for us, it's always been about final expense. How many of y'all are familiar with final expense? Final expense is basically small whole life insurance policies. And it's a product that people need. And what Mitch was talking about earlier before we even got started was that we're really not selling a product. We're selling peace of mind. We're selling love. And people are starving to death for it, because if you were to stand outside of Walmart today and everybody over the age of 50, you ask them if they had $10,000 in their checking account to pay for a funeral, how many of them would say that they do? It is a very, very small percentage. And so again, you can do a lot of different things with your life. You can do a lot of different careers. But at the end of the day, and I heard this, so I stole it from somebody, but it made sense to me when I heard it. There was a gentleman that said, who we are is we are people's best friends on the worst day of their lives. Yeah. Because we're providing a need and a service that on the worst day of that family's life, you're their best friend by being able to send them that check for $10,000. And so I think that's a whole nother sense of, serving and getting rewarded for your efforts is in seeing the actual benefits of what we do every day. Because nobody likes to talk about dying, right? How many of y'all this past weekend, hey, how are the hamburgers? Great. What else did you do? Hey, do you know when you're going to die? I mean, it's just that, hey, back up now. What are you talking about? I want to talk about what we're going to do next weekend. I don't want to think about the car crash in between. I mean, but it's something that's going to happen to all of us. And that's a hard reality, but it is a reality. And so we're there for people during those tough times. And what we found is final expense has always been our focus. It's always been kind of the goose that's laid the golden egg. And so, we're in South Georgia, so we have to keep it real simple. So every day it's just final expense, day in and day out. And, we really consider ourselves to be final expense specialists. So we take the approach of being great at doing one thing as opposed to average at several. And there's a lot of people that I know that are in insurance that try to have this huge net, and I want to sell this, and then I want to have this, and then if I run into this, I want to have this, and I want to have this. Guys, we are brand new in California. There is so much opportunity here. It is really hard to imagine. And so while I would say, yeah, go do something else if you're getting all the juice out of what you can do now. And it's so much untapped potential here. Everybody in this room could be making $250,000 to $500,000 if you guys wanted to, just right here in California. Really, probably from Los Angeles south. But again, it goes back to what your goals are, what your dreams are, and then are you willing to follow the plan day in and day out to get it there? But every day we do final expense. That's really what we focus on. And there's two ways that you can really sell the product. You can sell it 100% over the telephone, or you can sell it 100% in the field. Now, I want to be real clear on this. We do both. But I think as an individual, it's important that you do one. Because again, what you'll do, talking about your mindset is so important in this business. If you're not careful and you're not really mentally strong, what'll happen is I'll go drive out to Miss Mary's house and I get stuck in Los Angeles traffic and it takes me 2.5 hours to get there and Mary's not home. And I go, man, what a waste of time. Now I got to go back in that traffic, or either just sit here for another hour to see if she shows up. And, I could have just called her, and if she didn't answer, I wouldn't have wasted all that time and gas and all this other mess. Man, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start doing it over the telephone. And then the same thing on the phone. I get Miss Mary on the phone, and I just miss that sale. And I go, golly, if I'd have just been able to look her in the eyes, I know I would have made that sale. You know what? I should probably go back out in the field. So let me go do that again. You have to have the mindset for telesales that if your next door neighbor called, you're not going over there to see him. Because there is no other way. You've got to decide. We've got people that are successful at both. We've got personal producers, just personal producers, that make $200,000 a year that have never knocked on a door before in their life. They sell 100% over the telephone. And we have personal producers that have never picked up the telephone before to set an appointment or to check to see if they're there or to pre-qualify the lead. Just show up, knock on their door, never picked up a phone before, doing the same thing. And so what I tell people is it's really not a matter of which system works, because both of them work. It's a matter of which system is going to work the best for you. And that's the one that you believe in the most. And so if you're a field sales guy or girl, be a field sales guy or girl. Miss Brenda back there is a beast in the field. She's a $20,000 a month producer every single month. So why would we try to mix that up and mess that up to teach her phone sales? It's the same thing for you guys. Again, both systems work and the process is really the same. So it's just a matter of what you believe in and what really works for you. But real early on in our career, Ron and Dale learned real quickly that the one thing you can't create more of is time. So how many of you all get paid to prospect? Didn't see any hands go up. You all, if you're in insurance, get paid to do what? Sell. You don't get paid for prospecting. And too many people just try to spend 80 to 90% of their time prospecting and only 10 to 20% of your time selling. And I don't care whether you're the homeless person that lives under the bridge or the billionaire that lives in California. Everybody gets 24 hours in the day. And how you're spending your time is really a reflection of the position that you're in. And so if you want to take it to that next level, we've got to spend our time on things that matter more. And that's what Ron and Dale learned real early on, which is why they created a lead program. And so our business, in terms of final expense, selling these small whole life policies, it's lead driven. Because you're making sale after sale after sale after sale and presentations consistently. And so what we really want to do at Senior Life is put you in a position where you're spending 80 to 90% of your time sitting down with people that have shown interest in the products that you're actually selling as opposed to prospecting, and try to flip the script on that time. And what that does is that puts you in a spot to be able to spend more time on things that matter and take that 80 to 90% of your time and focus it on presentations and making sales. And we have a sample of a TV commercial here that I'd like to play for you guys. So is that okay with everybody? All right.
In a recent study, the Bureau of Labor Statistics found the cost of a funeral has risen 227% over the last 30 years. That's almost 2 times faster than other goods and services. So what could a funeral possibly cost in 20 or 30 years? It's an alarming number, but if history repeats itself, a funeral will cost over $32,000. How can seniors pay for their funeral and not leave this debt to their family? The Senior Care Plan from Senior Life was created to help you cover your funeral costs. You could qualify for up to $30,000 in tax-free benefits that will pay for your funeral and any other final expenses. We can qualify any senior regardless of your medical history, and this is done without a medical exam. Your affordable rate and coverage amounts are locked in for life. You deserve to know what benefits are available, and this information is absolutely free. So please call the number now to protect your family from rising funeral costs. Make the free call now.
That commercial is talking about rising funeral prices, your family being stuck with a financial burden, our whole life insurance policies from Senior Life Insurance Company go up to $30,000. Call for information. Your rates never increase, your benefits never decrease. I mean, from a salesman or saleswoman's perspective, what more could you possibly ask for? Because it's almost like you're fishing out on the water and the fish just jumps out of the water and straight into the boat. And there's no way that you can convince me that if you truly plug in and you work 15 to 20 of those every single week, that you don't make any sales, that nobody was home. Come on. I've been doing this now for 10 years, and the reason that most people fail is they stop believing and they don't follow the system. And they stop trying. Now you're guaranteed to have a bad day in what we do. You're guaranteed to have a slow week. But if you follow our system day in and day out, you'll never have a bad month. And that's what you have to focus on. And so from our standpoint, and we have a lot of different TV commercials, that's just one of them, but what more do you possibly want? And it's hard to think about how it could actually get better from that. But as Mitch and I said, or Mitch said earlier, we travel a lot. Now, Thomasville is 25,000 people. So we have like one Lyft driver, and I don't even think Uber's made it to Thomasville yet. But I know it's probably pretty popular out here in San Diego, if I had to guess. And so as much as we were on the road, we said, man, you know what would be cool? How can we make it better for our agents? What are some things that we can do to really enhance our total package? And we said, well, let's create the Uber of final expense. And so that's exactly what we did. And so we have this app called Leads the Way. And what Leads the Way is it's an app real similar to Uber. You download it onto your phone, and when somebody calls that TV commercial right here in San Diego, It's going to bing Ronnie's phone. And it's going to say, hey, Ronnie, there's a new lead available. It's 7.8 miles from where you're standing. Do you want to go work it? And you say yes. And it literally will map directions to the customer's house, send them an email with your picture and years experience, and letting them know you're going to be the one that's helping them, and you look forward to seeing them soon. And you literally leave, and you drive to their home, and you're sitting down with the customer 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, probably depending on traffic out here, after they call the TV commercial. What else do you want? You know, and for the telesales fans, and where's our telesales? You that are big into telesales? All right, so for telesales, it doesn't tell you that they're 8 miles away. It actually rings right to your phone, and you just say hello, and you're talking to the customer. The call center will say, hey, Miss Mary, we've got Miss Jones on the line. She'll be there when I hang up. And the customer has not even disconnected from the time they called the TV commercial. And you say hello, and you start making the presentation right then and there. So it's just a matter of rinsing and repeating and doing it again. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to buy. But again, from a salesperson standpoint, what else do you want? Well, we can take it one step further. And as Mitch mentioned, we're always forward thinking, and we really lead the industry from a technology standpoint. And so we created an app called Slice that you do all of your applications on. And so this is how every agent submits business with Senior Life, is through an iPad or an iPhone. And I literally could hand it to you all right now. And if you've never sold a policy with Senior Life before, you could take it today and you could go out and use it, and you can't mess it up. It is literally dummy proof. It walks you through everything A to Z. It qualifies the person on the right plan. And you actually, while you're in the home, so I get the lead, I drive to Miss Mary's house, I get out of my car with nothing but my iPad, I go in there, it walks me through everything A to Z, tells me what product she qualifies for, tells me to take a picture of the check, and if I hit submit before 3 o'clock Eastern time, or I guess it'd be 12 o'clock out here, you get paid today. So when you start really talking about where we're at today, I think it's pretty streamlined. And we want to put you in a position to have success and to let you run your business and to grow it as big as you want to grow it. And so I think California typically appoints agents in 24 to 48 hours, is what our licensing department was telling me earlier. And so if you're not contracted with Senior Life today, you can get contracted today, and you literally can have a deposit for $500 or $1,000 come Friday. That's simple. And so it starts with getting your mind right, having that right mentality, having that right mindset, and then just following this system. So we've got all that, and then from our product standpoint, what we wanted to do is design enough products to where you never have to walk away from a sale. And again, I think you see a lot of people trying to cast this big net. We can keep it simple and have a simple process here where if you have somebody that's in great health, we have the lowest cost plan in America. If you have somebody that's in the poorest of poor health, we have a guaranteed issue. So we have immediate benefit, limited benefit, and also some term plans as well. Now, you're not selling a lot of term insurance, but that's kind of like a knife if you run out of bullets in a gunfight. South Georgia, we're going to talk a little bit more about guns probably than in California. So I might have should have done a little bit more research to associate stuff instead of guns. Maybe we should be talking about, the green tea shakes and all that stuff out here. But at the end of the day, that's how we look at it, is we want to put you in a position to win. And where most companies don't even have a GI, we want to have that because we try to design our platform off of putting the agent the entry-level agent in a position to have success. That GI might be one sale or two sales a month that you run into, but that's to that entry-level person, that's an extra $500 to $1,000 that sometimes is the difference between staying in or getting out. So why wouldn't we have that product? The customer doesn't know Senior Life from New York Life or from anything else. The customer's buying you. And that, I think, is what so many people forget. If the customer doesn't like you, it doesn't matter what company you sell for. You've got to first get through that bridge and make a friend. If you make a friend, then the rest of it's just closing. And so again, that term product, where I've written one before, is I sold Miss Mary a $10,000 whole life plan, and when I was asking for referrals, because referrals are very important, she wanted to get insurance for her son. Her son was 32, 33 years old. So I didn't have what I felt like was a strong enough bullet, so I pulled out the knife, which was the term product, and sold him a $30,000 term. So again, it's just about trying to put you in a position to have success and to put you in a position to keep life simple. And I think that's one thing that I really enjoy about Senior Life is the simplicity. It is mind-boggling to me hearing people that I talk to on a daily basis, and they say, well, what companies are you working for? Oh, I work for about 12, 15, 20 different companies. How in the world do you keep up with all that? I mean, seriously. How do so you're going to tell me that you know a little bit about all that stuff. And it's funny when I talk with people, and they make the comment, I say, well, how do you determine what company you write them with? Oh, well, I always do what's best for the customer. Well, what do you mean by that? Oh, well, what I mean by that is, I typically look at what their needs are, and I give them the best possible rate that I can for the best product. And I'd say, okay, so let me just make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So we've got two companies that are basically the exact same product, both $10,000 face amounts, and one of them's $55 a month, and the other one's $52 a month. If I'm understanding you correctly, you're telling me you're going to put them on the one that's $52 a month, right? Yeah, that's right, because that's the best thing for the customer, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. Well, let me take it one step further. The one that's $55 a month pays you an 85% or 90% commission, and the one that's $52 pays you 15% commission. Are you still doing that? Well, that's not really fair. Whoa. What do you mean it's not fair? Well, I got to make a living too. Okay, well, let's not make that comment that we always do what's best for the customer, because if we really want to, we can just pay 0% commission and lower the rates even that much more. How's that sound? So for us, it's about having the best total package. We're not going to be the best in every single area. But if you made a list of pros and cons for final expense companies, and final expense is what your passion is, there's nobody that'll come close to us. I'm confident about that. And when you start talking about really our benefits package, from incentive trips to lifetime renewals, you're vested from day one, health insurance for you and your family, brand new basically to California, no territories where you're limited on how you can grow or how big you can grow, being able to move up, not having thousands of agents here where you're stuck above 12 people above you. You don't have that here. And I think one of the biggest things too is stock ownership. One of the things that Mitch talked about is Ron had this vision and this dream of wanting to buy his own insurance company. Well, the reason why is because our agency was writing 70% of the production for the company we work for. And they went to the owners of that company and they said, hey, we're doing all this business with you guys. We'd like to buy some stock in the company. Will you sell some to us? We're not asking you to give it to us, we'll buy it. And they said, you stay out of my pocketbook and I'll stay out of yours. I said, all right. That was when Ron was 26 years old. And he said, Dad, there's no way I'm going to stay in this business for the next 40 years of my life just to build this man's fortune when we're the ones out there doing the work every single day. He said, we need to buy our own insurance company. And Dale agreed. And so that's really what motivated Senior Life. So when they bought Senior Life, they set it up to where the people that are really helping play a part can also benefit and be shareholders. Because you don't want to lose a Mitch Connor. You don't want to lose key people. You don't want to lose a Ron and Brenda Washington. And so we've got it set up where you can actually be a shareholder with Senior Life. And, when you look back at great first-year commissions, lifetime renewals, vested from day one, that's great. And you can make a lot of money on that system. But when you talk about building a lot of wealth, and you talk about being $1 billion insurance company in the next 5 to 7 years, and you can get in and be a part of that growth, that's where you take it to a whole nother level. And that's what's really got us excited right now, is because we know what we have to do. We know the numbers that we have to hit. It's just a matter of how long is it going to take before we get there. It's going to be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And what it really boils down to is getting some like-minded people to lock arms and to say, this is where I'm going to be, and let's go make it happen. No, it's not perfect, but we're going to make it happen. Nothing's perfect. So this isn't either. We'll make some mistakes, but at the end of the day, we're not going to go out there and intentionally try to hurt or harm or deceive anybody. And I think that carries a lot of weight, and I see too much of that going on in our industry that really gives it a bad name and makes people not want to say, I want to be an insurance agent. But at the end of the day, we're not asking you to go around and sell your friends, family, neighbors. Nobody wants to be that guy. We've got people calling you every single day. Every day, all over the state, calling, asking about our products. We need you to go see them. You know, one of the things that Mitch also, when talking about Ron being a visionary, that man is determined. That man works tirelessly and relentlessly. And Mitch is choosing to be here. Ron chooses to go to work every single day, but he doesn't have to. And what happened is 9 years ago, 10 years ago now in June, Ron got in a bad accident, became paralyzed from the waist down. And he used to always race go-karts, not go-karts like at the beach, go-karts that go about 100 miles an hour. And he wrecked his go-kart, and the guy came around the corner and hit him right in the back doing about 70 miles an hour. And it paralyzed him from the waist down. And he had to come out of pocket about $500,000 in surgeries, rehab, and everything when the dust settled. And to talk about the type of man that he is, 2 quick stories on Ron. When I got cut from the Falcons, I had a couple little job interviews lined up, and I called Ron. And it was right when everything happened, maybe a month after he had been paralyzed. And he said, why don't you just come to the hospital and we'll talk? And so here's a man that's had his whole world turned upside down. And he wants to talk to a 24-year-old kid about the future of senior life in the hospital room. You know, and then the second thing was the first thing that Ron did when he got back is he said, I was at least in a position financially where I could handle that. But there's not a lot of people that would be. So I want to have the best health benefits package we can for our employees and for our agents. And so we actually have a 100% health insurance plan. We're self-insured. And so you can qualify, your family can qualify. It's just based off of production. But it is phenomenal health insurance. It's a 100% plan. So all you do is pay the copay and pay the deductible, and 100% of everything is covered. That's a huge deal, especially when you look at the numbers, you know, in terms of being $450 to $200 based on production for an individual, or $755 to $450 for a family. That's a big deal in our work, because I know a lot of companies don't even offer this, and health insurance today can be easily $1,500 a month for a family. And so now you have this as a part to go with it. Again, trying to have the best total package. And so we've got this great platform for you as agents. We feel like we have the best thing out there. And what we started thinking of is, well, what can we do to enhance it from the customer standpoint? What are some things that we could do different? And so we started this company. It's a separate company, but it's called Legacy Assurance. And I want you guys to think about legacy for the consumer like a Sam's Club or a Costco. You've got to be a member to get inside the store. And inside Legacy's store are really all things related to funerals. There's caskets, vaults, monuments, markers, urns if they want to be cremated, and they're at about half the price of what the family would have to pay for at the funeral home. And the day they become a member, they lock in that price forever. So you're sitting down with somebody that's 60 years old, and a casket, for an example, is $1,500. That same casket at a funeral home, probably in San Diego right now, is between $3,000 and $6,000. All right? You lock in that price at $1,500, and if they die 25 years later at 85, they're only paying $1,500 for the casket. And they can actually assign a portion of their life insurance policy to cover that cost. So what this does is this just helps make you different, right? Because a whole life policy is a whole life policy. You're going to pay X amount every single month from now until the day that you die. When you die, we're going to send your family a check for X. Legacy really helps take you to that next level. It helps make you different. And what we've seen is that when you use legacy, you have about a 10% increase in persistency, which means you're making more money, you're making more renewals, and you're really helping families. You know, and while we were sitting here, one of our top agents, y'all know Brenda Lionel that works with Doug, his father just passed away. Literally, I think in the last couple of hours. But Legacy's already getting on board with trying to help them. And we've helped our agents, we help the consumers. And that's really what it's ultimately designed to do, because nobody likes going through that process. If you've ever gone through that process and been that point person, what you're trying to think of is, I don't care what we have to do, I just want this day to be over. And so you're saving this family a lot of money, but then you have what's called the WISH team, and WISH stands for Where Individuals Seek Help, that'll call multiple funeral homes in the area and fight on the family's behalf to try to get the best price for the family. We had this happen to one of our agents down in South Florida. The quote came back at $15,500 for the funeral. When Legacy got involved and got everything done, everything from A to Z was like $4,500. And so it's a big, big deal, especially to our market. You know, because that $10,000 policy to our clientele is like a $100,000 policy to others. And helping them save money is a big deal, because a lot of funeral homes, not everyone, a lot of funeral homes, when somebody passes away and you go through those doors, they say, I'm sorry for your loss. Did your mom or dad have any life insurance? Oh yeah, well she had a $12,000 policy with Senior Life. Okay, great. Guess how much your quote's getting ready to be for that funeral? About $12,500. And I'm not saying everyone does it that way, but I have personally worked with people that have worked in the funeral home and said they had to review after every funeral, and the funeral director would get mad if they left anything out on the table. And that's maybe one guy that's not doing it for the right reasons, but Legacy eliminates that part. And it's really, really cool how it helps families, you know, even have that much more left over. And so that's a big deal for you guys. They also have a referral program where every person you sit down with has a $100 incentive to give you referrals. It's $25 per name, up to 4 names. So when you start talking about being more profitable, working referrals is a way that you become more profitable, because now I take that one lead and now I turn it into 3. You know, and so that's just a big thing, and everybody you sit down with has that incentive to do it. And so I've talked a lot about the process and the system, and everybody's probably like, well, what in the world is it? So I'm going to leave you guys with the process, a couple of little income examples, and I'm going to turn it over to Ron and let him close us out. And Brenda, if you'd like to say anything too. But the process is simple, guys. If you want to be successful and you want to do the exact same thing that Mitch Connor did back in 1989, Mitch left, Mitch came back, the process didn't change. Mitch went into full-time ministry 20 years later. He came back, the process never changed. It's gotten easier with technology, but the process hadn't changed. It's still the same clientele, still the same need, and it's not going anywhere. And so it's simple. If you want to be successful, you need to work 20 leads a week. 20 leads a week. And you need to have a goal of making 15 presentations. You can get 20 leads, and if you don't work, that's not a good recipe. But if you get 20 leads and you have that goal of making 15 presentations, that's what you really need to look at. That's what you need to measure success off of. You need to have a goal of being at the first house at 9 o'clock in the morning. Monday is the most important day. It's kind of like the domino effect. Y'all ever play with dominoes? You push that first one down and the rest start to fall. That's called Monday in the sales world. And you got to play mind games with yourself. You got to say, I'm not going to eat lunch until I make my first sale. And those are the kind of things you have to do. And you're just delivering packages. Again, you're a UPS truck driver. They called you about life insurance. You're there because they asked you to be there. Now, whether they buy or don't, all you have to do is go try and deliver the package. And that's your real responsibility on a daily basis. And you just do it over and over and over and over again. And then I think the other big advantage too is for those of you that really want to not just be a personal producer, but actually want to grow and build an organization. Again, being brand new in California, the opportunity to build a team is incredible. And so when you start looking at what your goals are, what your income levels you want to be, as something as simple as if you want to make $60,000 a year, all you need to do is help 4 people a week. Help 4 people a week off of 20 leads, and that's $60,000 a year in upfront advance commissions. That's in your pocket after every type of expense. That's in your pocket. That doesn't take into account renewals or pay through. 4 sales, $60K. So let's talk about that $100,000. Keep that positive attitude. Help 6 people a week. It's $100,000. 6, not 60. 6. That's $100,000. As we talked about, for those of you that want to build an organization, we really believe that you should lead from the front, and you should never ask somebody to do something you haven't done or aren't willing to do yourself. Amen. And so if you want to make $250,000 a year, you lead them from the front, making your 6 sales. And then if you get, say, 8 individuals and they're all making their 4, now you got $250,000. Again, guys, this is upfront advance commissions. We're not even talking renewals. You know, and what's unique about Senior Life, as Mitch said, is Senior Life was funded and a lot of things were paid for because of renewals. To give you an example of the power of renewals, Ron and Dale Powell never wrote another policy for the company we worked for from 1999. When they bought Senior Life, they never wrote any more business for the old company. Their renewals to this day, 18 years later, are still over $100,000 a month. That's what renewals are. You can call it renewals, you can call it retirement, you can call it a lot of money. But that's what the power is when you start talking about building and growing. $500,000, you know, at that stage in the game, you're really talking about stepping out of the personal production and just focused on building your team. And if you have a team of 30 individuals that are plugged in and you're doing 120 sales a week, you're going to make $500,000. And then if you want to hit that 7-figure income like Ron did in 5 years, team of 60 people, and you're helping 240. Look at the amount of people that you're helping with the products. Look at the amount of people you're helping with a career. And I think that's another major point, is when we were the largest agency in America, when we were just an agency, we were the largest agency in America throughout the 90s. We were writing $2 million a month with 250 people. This is what we're looking for in a perfect world, is somebody that wants to be all in. Because there's a lot of companies out there today that say, all right, great, who all wants to do this? Okay, throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. We want people that want to be a part of it. We want people that want to be a part of a team, that are understanding that we're going to have some challenges, that we're going to maybe argue from one time or another. I mean, it's no different than a marriage almost. I mean, you're going to have some disputes every once in a while. My wife's 32 weeks pregnant. We've got some disputes on a daily basis. It just is revolved around what kind of ice cream I didn't bring home sometimes. Or what kind I ate and why I didn't replace it. But guys, life's not perfect. And no company's perfect, and no opportunity is perfect, but this opportunity is incredible. And if I could leave you guys with one thing, I heard this the other day, and I felt like it really, really made sense to me. And I was watching something that one of my buddies had posted on Facebook or Instagram or something, and it was a gentleman at the church. And I don't know if it was a guest speaker or the pastor, but he said, I see what the problem is. It's very clear when you really look at what the problem is. He said, the problem is you want to grow and stay. He said it doesn't work that way. And what he was talking about is you can't grow your relationship with God. You can't grow to be closer to Him and want to do all these other things, but stay who you are right now today. For you to grow, you have to change. And it hit me like a brick. One, from the faith side of things, but two, from the business side of things. For us to be a billion-dollar insurance company, we can't stay who we are today. We have to change. I have to change. Mitch has to change. If you guys were happy with what you did in 2018, that's great. If you weren't, guess what? You have to change. You have to make some changes. Otherwise, you're going to look up and you're going to say, man, I really wish I would have taken advantage of that. I really wish I'd have gotten serious. I'd have plugged in. I'd have done a little bit more. You know, and this business is such a numbers game and a mindset game. Everybody in here creates their income the same way. It's through personal production and recruiting. And so what Mitch always talks about is the process. Produce, recruit, retain, repeat. And every single day, if you're focused on something besides one of those four things, you're going backwards. And you're going to look up and say, I really should have plugged in. I wonder what would have happened if I'd have just done this. You know, and how many people do that right now? Maybe not in their career from their workforce, but I know I look back on things and I say, man, if I'd have just worked out a little bit harder, you know, in high school, I might have gotten a scholarship right out of the gate instead of having to walk on. If I'd have just tried a little bit more, but you know what? You can't control all that stuff. And it doesn't make sense to go back and look at the what ifs. It makes sense to look at what I'm going to do today, what I'm going to do tomorrow, what I'm going to do the next day. Because the past is the past and you can't change it. So don't let that hold you back from making changes today. Go out there, change your mindset, get plugged in, and go make it happen. And if you do that, you're going to have so much fun along the way. And that, I think, is what's so cool about Senior Life is we are truly a family atmosphere. And if you want to be a part of a team and a part of a family, and you want somebody that will get there in the foxhole with you and talk to you at midnight, or get up at 2 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast to come out here to hang out and fellowship and be with you guys, that's who we are. And so I'm excited right now. I know Mitch is excited. We were talking about that coming over here. I couldn't even sleep coming over here. I told Mitch, I said, I might go to sleep on the plane, but I didn't even sleep 1 ounce. I wanted to at one point on the first flight, but I'm just so excited about where we're at because I know where we're going. And the only thing that's keeping us there is just how long is it going to take? And all that's going to be is our mindset and how fast we can get there. Because if it's right at 1, it's right at 10. If it's right at 10, it's right at 100. If it's right at 100, it's right at 1 billion. So let's just go do it. And if you want to do something in California, Arizona, Nevada, all the whole West Coast, we're brand new out here. So go do something. Do it. Let's go. Just do it. I mean, what else is there to say? Go do it.